Good evening. It's Friday, February 21st. Thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Maya Trabulsi. Immigration officials have adopted a new tactic in places with sanctuary laws. They've started sending subpoenas for information to local law enforcement agencies, including the San Diego Sheriff's Department. KPBS reporter Matt Hoffman spoke with the sheriff, who says he's honoring them.
San Diego County Sheriff Bill Gore says since California's sanctuary state law went into effect, the department's cooperation with federal immigration officials has been limited.
We cannot voluntarily cooperate with them and give them information that we had in the past.
So Immigrations and Customs Enforcement recently subpoenaed the department for information about 4 people who are or were in the county jail. Gore says it would likely help ICE find people who are in the country illegally.
Looking for addresses in the community, their emergency contact information, and I would guess probably to find this person if we can't tell them, if they can't take custody in our facility, to be able to go out and arrest them in the community.
Gore says that he was left with no choice but to honor the subpoenas.
And when there's a conflict between federal administrative subpoenas and state laws, the federal law trumps it.
Gore believes ICE will use this tactic again.
I think ICE will look at this as a way of obtaining these records that moving forward in states that have passed laws that make that cooperation problematic.
In a written statement, ICE says California's law forces the Sheriff's Department to release criminal aliens to the street instead of to ICE custody. The agency says that threatens public safety and national security.
These subpoenas are ICE's latest stunt to try to do that and try to compel a local agency to participate in its deportation machine.
The San Diego ACLU says the Sheriff's Department should fight this.
Because of the state law, the Sheriff's Office at minimum should require the feds to go to court to have a judicially enforceable order that requires the Sheriff's Office to comply. They haven't done that yet. At this point, the Sheriff's Office is voluntarily giving this information over, and they otherwise threaten the trust that California has really sought to grow between its immigrant community and local law enforcement agencies.
Even though he is complying with the subpoenas, Gore wants to make one thing clear.
We're not immigration officers out in the field, that we want to develop those relationships. We want them to report crime. We want them to be witnesses and protect them like they're entitled to.
Matt Hoffman, KPBS News.
Immigration policy has also been an issue for private businesses. Today, Greyhound, the nation's largest bus company, said it will no longer allow the Border Patrol to conduct immigration checks without a warrant. Greyhound says it will train drivers and other employees on the new policy. The move follows pressure from the ACLU and other civil rights groups. High-profile murders of Mexican women and a 7-year-old girl have set off a protest movement across Mexico. It's focusing on the thousands who have been murdered and disappeared in recent years. KPBS reporter Max Rivlin-Nadler was at a protest today in Tijuana.
The all-female protesters in Tijuana say the government isn't doing enough to stop these murders. This is part of a movement across Mexico against what protesters are calling an epidemic of femicide. Later this afternoon, around 100 protesters here will march to the border, where they say they're going to shut down traffic peacefully to protest the amount of women that have been murdered or disappeared in Mexico this year. Before the march, one protester, Carolina Morales, explained why they're marching to the border. She said that because the border is the bridge to the outside world, it's the best place to bring attention to what's happening to women in Mexico. The group was briefly met with a counter-protester who they covered in spray paint and silly string. After chanting in Plaza Cecilia, the group marched to the border with the aim of shutting down traffic. In Tijuana, Max Rivlin-Nadler, KPBS News.
This weekend, Nevada will be the first Western state to weigh in on the presidential race when it holds its caucuses. Michael Bloomberg isn't even on the ballot, but he's received a lot of attention this week due to his debate performance and controversial record as well. More now from Tracy Brown.
Battered but unbowed after the Las Vegas Democratic debate, New York billionaire Mike Bloomberg hits the campaign trail.
Voters don't want empty talk. They want leadership. They don't want hand-waving and finger-pointing.
Bloomberg, the former New York mayor who was once a Republican, forced to defend his record in his rocky debate stage debut.
At some point, the wizard has to come out from behind the curtain, and then you find out, how much is an image and how much is reality.
Galston says Bloomberg appears to have missed the significance of the Me Too movement and faltered in the debate when defending his comments on gender.
I'm not sure that he's caught up with the times, and he got a rude lesson in the amount of change that's taken place.
Activists insist Bloomberg also needs to do more to explain his record on race, particularly when it comes to the New York stop and frisk policies while he was mayor.
It's okay to apologize, but then it's like, what are you going to do about it? You want to be the president of the United States. How are you going to deal with the Department of Justice?
Mike Bloomberg started as a middle-class kid who had to work his way through college.
With his carefully constructed TV ad image in jeopardy, Bloomberg is redoubling his attacks on frontrunner Vermont Senator Bernie Sanders.
If we choose a candidate who appeals to a small base like Senator Sanders, it will be a fatal error.
Bloomberg's strategy of not competing in early voting states is about to be put to the test.
If you are ready to protect and defend the Constitution of the United States of America, and if you are ready to clean out the Oval Office and get things done, welcome to Bloomberg 2020. Thank you.
More than a dozen states host Super Tuesday contests in less than 2 weeks, with about 1/3 of the delegates needed to win the nomination at stake. Tracy Brown, Associated Press.
And California's primary is just 11 days away. The KPBS voter guide can help you organize your ballot. It's customizable to your area. Just enter your location and you'll get a list of all the races and the measures. You can also save your choices to save time when you're ready to vote. Just look for the KPBS voter guide banner on our homepage, kpbs.org. Could it be happening all over again? There's been a string of departures from high-ranking intelligence officials in recent days. As Alex Marquardt reports, some of those officials are concerned Russia may be interfering in the 2020 election to help President Trump.
A classified briefing behind closed doors exploding into the open and causing the president to clean house at the highest ranks of his intelligence community.
Cyber threats.
Shelby Pearson, the top intelligence official on election security, telling House Intelligence Committee members twice in a briefing last week that Russia is working in favor of President Donald Trump's re-election and that they have every intention of meddling again in 2020.
Members of the intelligence community have uniformly said that the Russians are planning to interfere in our 2020 elections.
The intelligence community assessed with high confidence after the 2016 election that the Russian government aspired to help President-elect Trump's election chances. They're at it again, the intelligence briefer said, but she didn't reveal the actual intelligence on Russia, instead offering just the assessment. That angered committee Republicans, many of them allies of the president. A Trump administration national security official also pushed back, telling CNN it's more that the Russians view Trump as someone they can work with because they see him as a deal maker. When Devin Nunes, the ranking member on the House Intelligence Committee, told the president about the briefing, he was angry.
If you're going to talk about the president to Congress, you've got to give him a heads up. It's very sensitive. It's a question of dysfunction in the White House that message wasn't transmitted to the White House in time.
The president then lit into his acting director of national intelligence, Joseph Maguire. It's happening again, the president said, according to a source, meaning that Democrats like Chairman Adam Schiff, who was in the briefing, would use the information against the president. Less than a week later, Maguire is out, and so is his number two. Taking over as acting DNI temporarily is the U.S. ambassador to Germany, Rick Grenell, a staunch Trump loyalist with no experience in intelligence matters.
Meddling.
Democrats blasting the choice as evidence that the president values loyalty above objective intelligence and is risking national security.
I think what we're seeing more and more is the intelligence community is becoming a propaganda arm of the White House.
As November approaches, intelligence officials are sounding the alarm about Russia's continuing and evolving tactics. A source familiar with Pearson's briefing said she told lawmakers that Russia will hack, they'll weaponize social media, and attack the election infrastructure of the United States, which will fuel chaos and questions about the integrity of the election process. One new tactic the Russians will use, according to the New York Times, is working from servers inside the United States rather than abroad to hinder U.S. intelligence agencies who are prohibited from working domestically.
It shouldn't have come as a shock to anybody that the Russians are going to continue to do what they did in 2016, given the success they enjoyed.
And that was Alex Marquardt reporting. While campaigning today, President Trump claimed the concerns about Russia were part of a disinformation campaign organized by Democrats.
We look into a candidate for Superior Court judge who posted racist and sexist jokes to social media, profile school board candidates and education ballot issues, and continue the story of the former Navy SEAL who suffered a psychotic break after receiving an experimental treatment. That's on the Roundtable tonight at 8:30.
Nearly 7 months after a deadly bluff collapse in Encinitas, federal money is coming to try to make them more secure. 3 women were killed last August when a sandstone bluff crumbled at Grandview Beach. The women were Pat Davis's wife, daughter, and sister-in-law.
Since the accident that killed 3 of my family members, Julie, Annie, and Elizabeth, happened 8 months ago, there have been numerous bluff collapses, all with potential to kill people. They will continue to happen along our beautiful beaches in Encinitas and Solana Beach. People need to be mindful how dangerous these bluffs can be.
The Army Corps of Engineers has given $400,000 for the first stage of the project. Congressman Mike Levin says it's a long overdue first step, but more money is needed. An anonymous donor is spending $1 million to help San Diego's homeless population. The gift was given to the Lucky Duck Foundation. The group plans to spend the money to boost its job training program, which collaborates with other established charities and nonprofits. Organizers say they expect the money will benefit more than 500 people in our area. Some excitement this morning in a usually quiet LA suburb when a bear was spotted roaming the streets. The animal didn't harm anyone. This is the second day it was spotted in Monrovia. Animal control officers tranquilized the bear and then moved it to a safer location. It's not uncommon to see bears emerge from their dens and into these neighborhoods, but animal experts say it might be happening a bit sooner this year due to Southern California's mild winter. A tiger cub has a new home at a zoo in Central California after it was rescued from a well-known YouTube star. Senere de Los Santos tells us how the tiger got a new life after one video went viral.
Good boy.
A 400-pound Bengal tiger is now a permanent resident at Moore Park College's America's Teaching Zoo.
When we got Neil, he was our one and only tiger.
Neil came to the zoo when he was just 5 months old back in 2017. That is when authorities discovered that the tiger was illegally owned and being mistreated through a video that was taped by YouTube personality Logan Paul.
It was very obvious to me with my years of animal training and animal behavior experience that I was observing an animal that was in desperate need of emotional support. He seemed pretty terrified of most humans, specifically men.
Mara Rodriguez has been with Neil since day one, building a relationship and guiding him back to health.
It was through many, many hours that we formed this relationship that was really unlike anything I've ever formed with an animal.
About a month after getting Neil, another zoo donated a female tiger named Karma.
And they happened to be 2 weeks apart. They've been best friends ever since.
This is the first time the Teaching Zoo has had tigers, and students are taking full advantage of the opportunity.
Working with Neil and Karma is my first experience with any big cat, so getting to work with a pair of them and see their natural behaviors and them working together has been a blessing.
Now the zoo is looking to expand to provide the best possible home for their newest additions.
We want to offer and provide both our tigers with a larger, more naturalistic home, and we're hoping to do that by fundraising over the next year or so.
They are hoping to raise $2 million for a state-of-the-art habitat. The enclosure will not only benefit the tigers, it will also create a unique experience for students and the public.
And that was Senere de Los Santos reporting. The Padres are scheduled to play their first spring training game tomorrow, but it might be washed out by the same storm moving through San Diego. Lauren Rainson has our forecast.
Good evening. We continue to watch that upper level and surface low develop just offshore, and that's continuing to work its way eastward. That will translate to a surface low pressure system late Friday night through early Saturday. What this means for us, we are seeing the first measurable rainfall so far of the month. Much needed rainfall in a lot of locations, and then further off to the east with that flooding potential in portions of the desert southwest. We'll go through with a couple of those light spotty showers. They're still offshore for now. They will continue to press their way onshore during these next several hours. That'll set us up for a bit of a damp Saturday morning commute, especially the closer to the coast you get. A few more showers will press forward by Saturday evening. We could see a few more left over early Sunday. By the rest of Sunday afternoon and evening, we will be drying and clearing back out again as that system pushes eastward. Into the metro area tonight with some showers, lows close to 60. So for those Friday evening and overnight plans, it would be a safe bet to take that umbrella or something to keep you dry with you. Very good idea. 54 tonight in Oceanside with those incoming showers. Borrego Springs, you're bottoming out at 53. We will return with a continuation of showers. Now, I'm not going to be surprised if we also find embedded thunderstorms and some rumbles of thunder. Late weekend, we dry and clear out with incoming high pressure. We say goodbye to those showers as they're continuing to press past the desert southwest. Here's that weekend travel outlook for you. Essentially, it's really the southwestern half of the country's up against that wet, unsettled weather. As far as our rainfall amounts are concerned, back closer to home, I'm thinking that should be less than an inch, but for other parts of the desert southwest to our east, they're going to be in that 1 to 2 inch range closer to Phoenix. Sunday, Monday, instantly returning to sunshine, temperatures in the 60s along the coast. Tuesday, Wednesday, temperatures will rise. Further inland, you're done with the rain and the storms after Saturday. More sunshine Sunday to Monday, highs rising into next week. And into the mountains, plenty of sunshine. Chilly temperatures this weekend, but you'll bounce back beginning next Monday. We'll leave you in the desert. No more rain and storms after Saturday. Sunshine Sunday to Monday with warming temperatures. Reporting for KPBS News, I'm meteorologist Lauren Rainson. Back to you.
Costco is not only known for its big quantities, but also its cheap food court. Now the company wants to make it a bit more exclusive. Costco says it will start enforcing its membership rule for those pizza slices and those hot dogs. The new rules will begin next month. And from Apple to Pier 1, it's been a busy week for business news. Earlier, I talked with SDSU's Miro Kopik for the Friday Business Report. Welcome, Miro. Thanks for being here.
Thanks, Maya.
So the coronavirus outbreak in China, it's still affecting global business, including one of the world's biggest companies. Tell us how the coronavirus is affecting Apple.
You know, Apple announced this week that their second quarter revenues are going to be severely impacted because of China. They gave a big range of, from $63 to $67 billion, which is very unusual for a company that can forecast down to the dollar. These factories have been closed for weeks. They've closed all the Apple iStores. It's amazing how reliant Apple is on Chinese consumers. Last week was the first week that some of these stores reopened on a partial schedule because in a lot of this area in China where there's over 250 million people that are under restrictions, they can't travel, they can't leave their homes, no one's going into the stores.
Right.
So Apple is in a tough position as a company. Now, what's interesting about this is that investors, even though it seems challenging and it's going to challenge companies like General Motors as well, the market really didn't react very negatively to it. The stock has been down about 4% since last Friday. And because Apple is doing so well in so many different areas. As we know right now, the reports are challenging. 75,000 cases as of this week, 2,300 deaths. There's still a 3% mortality rate. So there may be greater repercussions, and that's going to impact not just Apple, but a lot of other companies.
It's a wait and see situation. Okay, let's talk about another major brand, Pier 1 Imports, closing their stores in San Diego. Tell us about that.
Yeah, Pier 1 declared bankruptcy this week. This is part of this whole retail apocalypse that we've been discussing numerous times. But they're going to close 450 out of 500 stores, 90% of their stores nationwide. They've been closing stores for the last couple of years, almost 400 of them. Pier 1 is one of those interesting companies. They're very unique in the home goods area. They have this kind of exotic furniture, rattan furniture that's inspired by designs in Southeast Asia and India. But what they found over the last last few years, even though they've remodeled stores, they've done interesting marketing campaigns, is that both the online retailers like Wayfair and Amazon, and even traditional retailers like Walmart and Target have really improved their selection of home goods. So their reason for being has been very compromised. In San Diego, they're going to close 4 of 11 stores, so 7 stores will still remain open. So Southern California is actually a fairly good market for Pier 1. But the scary thing about this, the whole retail apocalypse, is that since the beginning of the year, over 1,000 stores have closed down. Last year, 9,300 closed down. That's at a rate of about 750, 800 a month. We're already well ahead of that. It's going to be a challenge in 2020.
And some interesting and some exciting news for some coming out of one of the top universities in California, USC, which is actually where you went to school. Tell us about this new rule.
Well, you know, USC has done something that's very important. They've eliminated tuition requirements for families earning $80,000 or less. So they're targeting really that low and middle income student that really would love the opportunity to attend USC, and it just removes the financial obligation from them. USC's tuition, as we know, is very high, $57,000 a year, and if you want to just go for room and board, you're pushing $80,000. Not a lot of families can afford that, especially low and middle income families. The other thing that USC has done, which Stanford did earlier this year, is that they've eliminated home equity as part of the financial aid calculation. So this really impacts a lot of families. But one interesting thing is these schools, they have very large endowments. Harvard's is over 40 million, Stanford's is close to 28 billion, sorry about that, and USC's is $6 billion. If you just got a 5% return on USC's endowment of $6 billion, you can give free tuition to every incoming freshman for the fall 2020 year.
Some really interesting stuff there. Well, thank you so much, Mira Kopik from Bottom Line Marketing and SDSU.
Thanks, Maya.
I'm Judy Woodruff. Tonight on the NewsHour, the intelligence community warns the Sanders campaign of Russian interference. Coming up at 7 after Evening Edition on KPBS.
Aztecs fans are running out of chances to see what's shaping up to be a special season. Saturday, SDSU will host UNLV at Viejas Arena in their second to last home game. They're trying to keep their perfect record going. Right now, they're 26-0. SDSU is telling fans to watch their email for details coming soon on postseason tickets. This weekend, Bodhi Tree Concerts presents a special performance for Black History Month. KPBS arts reporter Beth Accomando had the choral director and soloist come to our studio to record Strange Fruit and explain its origins. And that's how we'll end our show tonight. Have a great weekend.
My name is Ken Anderson. I'm the director of the Martin Luther King Jr. Community Choir, San Diego. And this weekend, we will be in concert with Bodhi Tree as we present William Grant Stills and They Lynched Him on a Tree. Along with that piece, we will have another piece sung by a soloist, Dale Fleming. Strange Fruit is a shorter version of the same message that will be in And They Lynched Him on a Tree. And Dale Fleming is here to sing that for us today.
I'd just like to add that Strange Fruit was written by a Jewish American man who saw a photograph of an actual lynching that occurred from an incident in Marion, Indiana. 3 youth were captured. They were put in jail. The citizens grabbed them out of the jail and actually lynched 2 of them in trees alongside the road. And he saw this picture of the bodies hanging from the trees and the folks milling around as if it was some kind of a carnival, and he was appalled. So he wrote this very powerful poem about the injustice of it all. And then he set it to music, and it actually became an anthem of civil rights sung by both Billie Holiday and Nina Simone.
Southern trees bear a strange fruit, blood on the leaves and blood at the root. summer breeze, strange fruit hanging from the poplar tree. Pastoral scene of the gallant South, the bulging eyes and the twisted mouth, scent of magnolia, sweet and fresh. Then the sudden smell of burning flesh. Here is a fruit for the crows to pluck, for the rain to gather, for the wind to suck, for the sun to rot, for the tree to drop. Here is a strange